Welcome back to The Real with Joseph Lappin. But this is not technically an episode of The Real with Joseph Lappin. This is a new segment of the show I'm doing called Facing the Real. And this is separate from sports. This is a off the live stream, talking about sports and the Browns and all that stuff. This is more back centered towards the mental health side of things, spiritual side of things, and really related to all the things going on in the world today, things that I find interesting that I want to react to. And so that's what this is. So, welcome to Facing the Real. And this is the first episode. And today's topic is called The Battle of the Mind, Social Media versus Reality. And I thought this is a very good one to start off with. This is something that's been on my heart for a while to share. And felt the Lord was compelling me to do this. And so, I came across this clip on YouTube about probably last week, and I saved it for this episode because I knew this. I wanted to use this for the first part of this new segment of the show, and so this is Elon Musk and Joe Rogan. Elon Musk was on Joe Rogan's podcast. I don't know how when this was, how long ago this was, but a lot of you guys have probably seen this. It's probably went viral all over the internet on TikTok and obviously on YouTube and stuff. And a lot of what Elon Musk says here, the title of it is called "Don't Follow People Who Make You Feel Insecure About Yourself." Talking about don't follow people on either Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, Twitter, or X now, that make you feel insecure about yourself. And as somebody who has studied mental health, overcame an anxiety and panic disorder, depression, GAD, all of it, I went through it. Went through the deepest waters of it and overcame it. I understand what he's talking about, and I think it's very prevalent to today's society and what a lot of people are going through mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and it affects you physically. I think what he says here is very key. So I'm going to play the clip first. And so it's a 1-minute clip. And let's take a listen to what Elon Musk had to say. Again, don't follow people who make you feel insecure about yourself.
I think one of the issues with social media, it's been pointed out by many people, is that I think maybe particularly Instagram, people look like they have a much better life than they really do.
Right.
So
by design.
Yeah, people are posting pictures of when they're really happy. They're modifying those pictures to be better looking. Even if they're not modifying the pictures, they're at least selecting the pictures for the best lighting, the best angle. So people basically seem they're way better looking than they basically really are.
Right.
And they're way happier seeming than they really are. So if you look at everyone on Instagram, you might think, man, they're all these happy, beautiful people, and I'm not that good looking and I'm not happy. So I must suck, and that's gonna make people sad.
So I like what he says there about how it makes you feel sad when you start comparing yourself to other people. Like, man, look at all these happy people on Instagram, like you said, and their life looks so great, and my life's not like that at all. My life must suck, like he said, right? And so that leads to a lot of times to people feeling depressed, anxious, sad. We start talking to ourselves very, very negatively. We tell ourselves these things in our head. We believe it. We act in line with it. But a lot of people nowadays, I think TikTok probably has surpassed Instagram, in my opinion, in terms of influence, especially in these areas. Because the algorithm on it's so crazy and it's really exploded. And plus, when we were going through COVID and all that stuff, a lot of people who we were all locked down in our homes, that's when TikTok to me really took off. And so a lot of people were spending a lot of time on it. I've known people, I've heard of people, know of people who had a really bad addiction with it too. They would sit and scroll for literally 4 or 5 hours at a time. And they started to realize, like, okay, that's a lot of time sitting there swiping on an app and just, kind of basically doom scrolling is all you're doing. And there's a lot of information. It's a lot of overload, a lot of things put in your mind, right? That could affect you, either good or bad. But a lot of information can be too much. And I don't think that's how we were really designed to live, is through a virtual reality, through a lens, looking through the phone or looking at the world through a lens, right? Because it only tells probably 10-20% of the whole story. And so, but a lot of people, like Elon said, they follow people who make them feel insecure. They look at things all day to make them feel insecure. And you're seeing this a lot nowadays. People think they're not enough. People think, especially in my age group, I'm 25, a lot of people I know, a lot of people uh, feel like they're behind. And I can say I've fallen guilty of that a couple times, very often too. It gets to you. It's something it's very unavoidable nowadays to not be influenced, or I don't say influenced, but affected by a lot of this stuff. You see it out there, it's out there, and it can really get to you. And so, um, it's something we all deal with. But I think some people are trying to learn how to deal with it better, especially for myself. And so, I'm going to share some things that have helped me with this, and I think hopefully it helps you. Um, but again, going back to some of the examples of this, a lot of people I know nowadays, like I said, and in my age group especially, but all over, really making poor choices because of, or feel like they have to rush into things, feeling like they have to hurry up and get things done now, almost like they're putting an expiration date on, what they say is their prime, or, these years you have to have X, Y, and Z by a certain age, or you're not good enough. And that's how a lot of people feel, because they sit and they compare themselves to these so-called influencers on the internet, on TikTok and stuff, and they think this is the life you have to live. But you don't really know those people. It's not reality, right? They put on their social media how they portray their life to be. Everything looks great. They got a house, they got a family, maybe a lot of money, big cars, this rich, lavish lifestyle, right? That they feel like that's what you have to live by. You have to do everything they do. You got to do it too. And a lot of these people, these influencers, you really listen to what they're saying and what they're portraying. A lot of it's kind of like, hey man, if you don't live the life I live, you're not good enough. Like this is the right way. Their way, it's their way or the highway, right? And so, but a lot of times this leads to, when you measure yourself up to those people, like Elon said, it leads to anxiety, depression, and all those things. And anxiety, depression, and all those kinds of mental things you can go through, guys, spiritually. Guess what? Because from my experience, it has no logic. And so a lot of times you allow this stuff to lead you and control your life. You start making poor choices because what you're really what's controlling you has no logic to it. And so here's something I think is very key. It's called radical acceptance. This is something that's helped me, right? And I think it could help you guys. So let's look at what radical acceptance is. Radical acceptance, and I have it right here. I have it printed out as well, because I actually read and look through this very often. Radical acceptance is by Arlen Kunchich, I believe is his name. Excuse me if I mispronounced that. But very, very awesome article here. How to embrace radical acceptance, it's called. I will put this in the link down below, and I highly recommend you look through it, print it out like I did, and read over it daily, especially some of the coping statements in there. But what is radical acceptance? Radical acceptance, as it says right here, is often applied in situations when you are unable to fix or change what has happened, or when something has happened that feels unfair, like the loss of a loved one or losing a job. While grief and disappointment are normal emotions, suffering results when the initial pain is prolonged due to the lack of acceptance. And it says right here, radical acceptance does not mean that you agree with what is happening or what has happened to you. Rather, it signals a chance for hope, because you are accepting things as they are and not fighting against reality. And so this part, to me right here, is what really stands out. Because like it says there, you're accepting reality as it is, right? I think a lot of people, this really helps with the social media side of things. And when you start measuring yourself up to people, you start feeling down, depressed, that you're behind, you're not good enough, you're not where you're supposed to be, right? You're 25 years old, Joseph. You should be married by now. You should have X, Y, and Z. You need to have this big lavish house. You need to have this certain amount of income, and all this stuff. And let me tell you guys, if I listened to that stuff, I'd still be where I was, down in the dumps, and trying to chase something that I would never attain. You know why I would never attain it? Because it's not reality. And ultimately, and I'm gonna get into this, the back end of this, is it's not what God's plan is for me. It's not what's destined for my life. And whether you believe in God or not, that's okay. That's it's between you and God, or you, and that's your choice. I'm not forcing that upon anybody. Let's say God, let's say whatever your destiny is, right? Everybody has a destiny here on earth. and you have a plan for your life. And as low as you may feel right now, you may feel like there is nothing for your life, that you think that's just, this is what life is. It's just cruddy and crappy. But I would say a lot of that's probably due to bad advice and probably stuff like what Elon Musk referenced to. Get it in your head, looking at it too much, and it's everywhere. It's not just on it, not just on social media. It's in pop culture, music, TV. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. So how do you have to be? You have to be very vigilant and aware of it, but also you have to have a plan to help yourself when it shows up and arises, and focus on what the truth is and what reality is. And that's where radical acceptance comes in. So again, going back to this, it says radical acceptance, like I said, does not mean you agree with what is happening or what has happened to you. Rather, it's a chance. It signals a chance for hope because you are accepting things as they are and not fighting against reality. And so, what are some symptoms maybe of signs of lack of acceptance? Right, and here we go. Right here, I can't deal with this. This is not fair. Things shouldn't be like this. I can't believe this is happening. It's not right. Things should be different. Why is this happening to me? Right, and here's some feelings and behavior, and a lot of those statements right there are basically what Elon Musk just was referencing to as an example. Feelings and behavior indicating lack of acceptance. You blame yourself for everything that happens in your life. You feel stuck and don't think you can change anything for the better. You wish things were different, but you feel powerless. You are angry with the world. You resort to maladaptive coping mechanisms such as alcohol or drugs. Right, and so these are all signs. All right, here's relational patterns. You are consistently nagging your spouse and hoping they will change. You are often disappointed by the choices that others make. You feel resentful of things that have happened in the past. You tend to hold grudges, right? And these are all things, and we can all probably pick a couple of these things, at least two, and say, yeah, we've dealt with that, or maybe deal with it now. I know I can point out a couple that I've still am working through in my life. But I've also been able to have a better control and sense over it because of a lot of it due to this radical acceptance approach, and just honestly just being transparent with God too. I'd probably say those two things, but more than anything have helped me. And also just when you embrace radical acceptance, it really frees you up. It takes the pressure off of you, right? It helps you focus on what reality really is, but also you start to slow down, right? And that's what a lot of people probably need to do right now. Like if you're dealing with like the things that I pointed out, what Elon Musk pointed out, is that lack of acceptance leads to a lot of stress, anxiety, right? Depression. You want everything just to slow down and to ease up, right? And so that's what this does. And so radical acceptance, to me, those are some of the symptoms. All right. And so what's an example of somebody who maybe was at a point in their life where even people around them were feeding into that, maybe, or they felt a lot of pressure, right? About they had to cave in and just settle in their life and follow what the world says and what social media says, even though it's not really what they want to do, but because they're feeling all this pressure and all this the battle in their mind, right? And that the social media and measuring themselves up to other people, all those things that we just showed here, the symptoms of lack of acceptance. They have a lot of lack of acceptance in their life. They're feeling anxious, right? What's an example of somebody who maybe went the other way and accepted things as they were and stuck to what they wanted to do in their life, to their hopes and their dreams? And I got an example of somebody who I really look up to, who just got out of the hospital too. Bounty Tank. If you guys don't know Bounty Tank, he's right here in my hometown of Akron, Ohio. Hunts around in the area. Great guy, great crew. He did a show one time talking about his background, and he talked about how he just got done playing college football. This is back when I think he was my age at the time. This is probably back in 2012 or 10 or somewhere in there. I can't remember the exact time, but it's somewhere in that time period. But anyways, he talked about how he always had a goal of wanting to be a bounty hunter. He wanted to hunt. He felt that was the seed, got it, and planted it, and that got it something different for his life, which we'll mention here in a second. But also that a lot of people were pushing him to be a nurse. He went to school for nursing, right? He just went to school for nursing because he felt like it was a good opportunity, maybe pays well, maybe it was something he was interested in. But as time went on, he felt like he wasn't chasing what he really wanted to do, right? He felt like he was just doing it just because a lot of people told him to do it. And let's take a listen here what Tank said about what helped him or what he said to himself rather, about chasing his goal, not what everybody else around him. Maybe the pressure he was feeling from the world, possibly from the outside world. He went with what he felt was right internally and what his heart said. So here's what Tank had to say.
I could have took the easy way out. I could have just went and did with the norm and got a 9 to 5 as a nurse. But it wasn't what I wanted to do in life. It wasn't my passion. It's not what I wanted to do. So I had to sacrifice. I was homeless at times. Remember, times it was just me and my dog living out of my truck. I sacrificed to get where I am now. No matter who didn't support me, some of my closest family members did not support what I was doing with my life. I remember them saying, you went to school for nursing, you went to school for 4 years. Why won't you go do this? That's stupid. It wasn't stupid to me. God had implanted a seed in my brain that he wanted something different from me. So that's what I pursued.
And so you hear what Tank said there, how a lot of people around him were saying, this is stupid. What are you doing? You went to nursing school for 4 years. You know, and I like what he said there too. I could have went along with the norm, right? Basically what he's saying is I could have just did what everybody else is doing. I could have went to, the go along to get along. I could have just followed what the world says you should do, what social media says you should do, is just settle. You need to have, chase the income now, chase, settle now, settle in your life right now, because you need to have all these things in your life right now. But you heard the road for Tank chasing what he chased. It didn't start off easy. He was homeless. He was living in a car with just him and his dog. I mean, he was, a lot of people consider down in the dumps. I mean, I think later on that show too, he mentioned how, he needed to get a certain amount of money so he can get his hunting license or his bail license, whatever it is. And he was scrubbing toilets at Belden Village Mall. I mean, just taking, little jobs like that and he kept going, and he stuck to what that seed God had planted inside of him. Like he said there, mentioned, he stuck to that. He kept chasing that. He didn't listen to what everybody else was saying. I could be a nurse right now and probably making more money than scrubbing toilets at, Belden Village Mall. But in the long run, I know I'm going to get to where I'm going to get to. And he did. And now he's sitting here almost 1 million followers and about to be at the peak of his career, especially after, when he just came out of. I think he's going to come out even stronger. And he'll be even more. Everybody will get to know Tank worldwide now. It's so, but he lives a pretty good life now, and he chased his dreams. I'm sure he's happy, and he probably has no regrets. You know what I mean? And he's inspired other people like myself, and so he will continue to do that. And so, but again, if he would just stuck to being a nurse, I think he's almost 40 now. He probably would not. His life now, he probably wouldn't be as happy. He wouldn't have that fulfillment, right? He wouldn't have that joy on the inside. Maybe his relationship with the Lord or other people may not be where it could be where it is now. You know what I mean? Had he not followed God's plan for that. I know I could say that, in my life, if I would have went and settled into the norm 7, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, if I'd have stuck through, if my life didn't, went the other way, besides having to leave high school abruptly because of my anxiety disorder and have to stay and finish high school online, and I was isolated for a long time. If I'd have did the norm, if I would have went the other way and went through school and went, not saying don't go to school, but if my life would have went the norm, I probably would hate where my life would be right now at 25. I guarantee it. Things I used to things I wanted in my past, things I chased, even 3-4 years ago, if they would have came to fruition, have God not stopped it, I probably would have hated where it would have ended up. I would not have loved it. I would have settled, because and a lot of those things, guys, I was chasing back then my mind was being influenced by the world. I felt and I thought I had to have those things, right? And it's still a battle we all deal with. It's a spiritual battle, really. And so, again, but a lot of these things spiritually are distractions. They're distractions to pull you away from that seed that God's planted inside you, that vision, that dream, like Tank mentioned there. Tank had a vision and a dream. He had a lot of distractions of people trying to pull him away from that, but he didn't stop. And that's going to happen for the rest of your life. You're going to have distractions, right? People are always going to try to pull you off of your purpose, pull you away from what, where God truly has, what plan God and destination God really has designed and already pre-planned for you, if that makes sense. you know, they're trying to pull you away from what God has destined for your life. And so, and these things, distractions, they're all over. And social media is a big part of that. And it's pulling you away from reality. It's pulling you away from your purpose in life. It's pulling you away from the things you truly love. Um, and it's sad because I've seen it ruin a lot of families, a lot of lives of people, and just even people that settled into things where they have a lot of the wealth and riches in the world, and maybe they got a nice house and home and whatever. Maybe they inherited a family or whatever. But they're truly not happy. They're truly not satisfied. I know there's a lot of people I see out there who are really second guessing, and a lot of things they post on their stories and stuff every day. I see it. It just looks like people who are maybe a little not so sure about the path they went, and a lot of them, if deep down inside, this is just my observation. I think a lot of them probably regret, because I think they were kind of like where Tank was, where they, instead of not going to nursing school or not continuing or not pursuing being a nurse and chasing your dreams, they continue to be a nurse per se, as an example, in life, and they're not as happy now, right? And so, but I think these distractions also pull you away from believing in yourself, right? The moment you stop believing in yourself, what do you believe in? I mean, what you're not gonna have that hope in your life. And so, radical acceptance, going back to that now, there's some coping statements you can really go over every day that can really bring that hope back up and alive. And I review these every day. I think they're great. And so here's a couple of them right now. Right here. Here's some of the coping statements. When I fight against negative emotions, I only fuel them to grow larger. I can't change the things that have happened in the past. I am able to accept the present moment exactly as it is. I can get through difficult emotions even if it is hard. I will get through this no matter what. I will survive, and this feeling will fade even if this feeling is painful right now. So very momentarily. I love that one right there, because it's like it says about this too shall pass. You know what I mean? Things do pass. This is just a momentary affliction, like it says in the Bible. It's possible for me to feel anxiety but still manage the situation in an effective way. It's possible for me to accept what happened and still end up happy. I can choose to make a new path even if I feel bad. When I remain rational, I am better to make good choices and solve problems. It's better to take the right actions than keep judging or blaming. And so I'm going to link this below, and I really recommend you guys review this and go over these, read these out loud to yourself every day, right? Look over them every day. It's something I need to do more of, but it's helped me tremendously. And it's really a lifestyle, is what radical acceptance is. It's a lifestyle, and it's a lifestyle of peace. It's a lifestyle that leads to more peace in your life and more freedom and more pursuing the things you want to do. What do you want? If whatever your name is, if you're watching this, what do you want for your life? Pursue it, right? You can do anything. If you feel like it's something God planned inside or something you feel is destined for you, chase it, pursue it. Don't settle. You know what I mean? Because people always say you only live once, right? You only have this life once. Well, would you rather be sitting at 50 years old, let's say, or let's say 10 more years from where your life is now, maybe 5 to 10 years from where your life is now? Would you rather look back and say, man, I went the nursing route, let's say, like Tank as an example in life, and I look back now and it's not really what I want to do. I mean, yeah, I'm making some money, but I don't feel fulfillment yet in my life. I don't feel like I'm doing the things I feel like I'm destined here to do. I don't feel like I'm inspiring other people. I don't feel like I'm helping other people. I don't feel that fulfillment in life, right? Or do you want to 5 to 10 years? Maybe it starts off a little rough, and but at the end of 5 to 10 years, you chase that destiny, right? Like Tank did. You chase that seed that God planted inside of you. You follow that. Where do you think your life will be 5 to 10 years from now if you stick to that? Right? And so look at it that way. But also, I thought some wise words here from the great Kobe Bryant. I'll finish with this. Here's from the great Kobe Bryant about how he used to focus on, everybody measures him up to Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and all these other greats, especially as a Laker. How you have to have a certain amount of championships and all this stuff. And, it's all about winning championships. But it really, like he said, we'll say here, those arguments are they're opinionated. They don't really matter in his life. They don't affect his life. And so here's what Kobe Bryant had to say, how he changed his mindset and how it made him freer and how he found the real championships in life. So here's Kobe.
My goal has changed drastically as I got older. It's like as a kid, I said, I want to be the best ever. Right? And now you go through your life and everything you do is try to be the best ever, be the best ever, be the best ever. And as you get older, you start understanding that those things are very superficial things. Right? And everybody has a different opinion about it. No matter what you do, you win 20 championships, there's always an opinion on who's the best. Everybody has different opinions. And so I started really kind of understanding, maybe that's not the important thing. Maybe the important thing is to, how do we as a team grow? How do I help my teammates be better? So that was the first change for me. And then as I got older still, it became more about how are you inspiring others, right, to find themselves. That is the ultimate championship. So won 5 championships, that's great. Another team won a championship this year. Team's gonna win a championship next year. Those things come and they go. But what stays is, how do you use your passion and use that to inspire somebody else to create their passion? And then how can they pass that on to the next person? That is true success.
Dreams, it should be pure. And I think a lot of times when we're born into this world, we actually wind up going backwards. And it seems like the more we mature, the more responsible our dreams become, and the more governors we put on ourselves and our ability to dream. So it's not a matter of pushing beyond the limitations or expectations. It's really a matter of protecting your dreams, protecting your imagination. That's really the key. And when you do that, and the world just seems...
Man, wise, very wise words, very inspiring there. That's really helped me a lot in my life. I listen to that all the time for the last probably 3 years now when I found that video. And I love what he says there at the end. A lot of times we put boundaries on ourselves. Boundaries are mind, right? And a lot of that, I could link back today, talking about the battle of the mind, social media. Social media makes us put boundaries on ourselves, right? We measure ourselves up to people, like back when we started at the beginning of this show with Elon, what he said, right? We measure ourselves up to other people. We put boundaries on ourselves. We put expectations on ourselves. We put but we also limit ourselves as well. We keep ourselves boxed in. We don't give ourselves margin. And when you don't give yourself margin in life, that's when a lot of those anxiety, lack of acceptance, a lot of the things we talk about today, those statements, the things we tell ourselves that lead to depression, right? That's where we start to spiral. But like Kobe said, when you protect your mind, protect your imagination, protect your dreams, and stay focused on them, and don't ever stop dreaming, which is very key in life. Don't ever stop dreaming, no matter what your age is, what you've been through, what you've done. Don't ever stop dreaming. That is the true freedom of life, and how life just seems limitless, and it's very settling. And so, love that there from Kobe Bryant. He said it best. And here's a verse I want to end with you guys today. I think you can focus on, and just read this verse every day as well, or every now and then, save it in your phone. And it says, quote, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you a future and a hope." Jeremiah 29:11. And so again, the Lord tells you, he knows the plans he has for you, and they're to prosper you, to help you grow, not to harm you, not to give you a bad ending, not to lead you in the wrong direction, not to give you a bad life. He has a future for your life, and it'll give you hope, right? And that's what we want. That's what a lot of people are searching for right now, is hope and a bright future. Surrender it all to the Lord, radical acceptance, and I promise he'll lead you in that direction. Love all you guys. Like, subscribe, and share. And this is the first episode of Facing the Real. I'm out of here.